Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this Wellness Wednesday. I am Terry Coaxum. I am the host of the Coaxum Report. And today I am joined by my beautiful sister, Cynthia Cadora, who I call Dr. Cece. And she is a phenomenal woman, small business owner, and she'll be joining us to talk to us a little bit about her business. And for those of you that are just joining us, you can also join us on Roku. You can join us on Apple. You can also join us on Android. And it is truly a pleasure to have Dr. Cece with us today. In addition to, we'll be talking to her about some various and best practices, and of course, some big ideas around CC Conglomerate and also around her ministry. She is also a soloist, and so she'll share with us some of the things that she does in her and in her social life as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Cece when I was working for the district attorney's office, and she was the youth officer of the 81st precinct, and I was on the precinct community council. So, Dr. Cece, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for joining us on the marketplace. This is the Coaxum Report, and it is powered by Kalaloo. And we partner with, of course, we partner with Tempo. We're also partnering with WSTX Bloomberg. You can catch us on the radio as well. So thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. This is awesome. And I love you, Terry.
It's a pleasure. Talk to us a little more about CC Conglomerate. And of course, we're going to also talk about your ministry. I like to share with my audience, especially my small businesses, a little bit about some of the barriers that we face as small business owners. And I also like to offer some solutions and some best practices. And let me warn you, we are also, you can tune in to us throughout the Caribbean, throughout Southeast Asia, and of course here in the United States. So your voice is going to be heard far and near. So talk to us.
Well, my journey, as far as CC Conglomerate, really started with a children's book.
Hmm.
I started the LLC, and Terry, you know the story well. Um, when I was a youth officer in Brooklyn, my niece committed. She actually committed suicide at the age of
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
due to bullying and other pressures that 12-year-old girl. I mean, what can I say?
Right.
And so it led me to create O Marie. So
Hmm.
with creating the book, I wanted to officially have just do it the right way. And
That's
so
right.
I opted for a coach to figure out, where do I even begin with this whole thing? And
That's
that's
right.
when CC Conglomerate came to life
That's right.
in order to self-publish because my reality was I didn't want to wait
Hmm.
for some miraculous publisher to show up or anything like that. And coming from I have a law enforcement background, so I did not understand
Right.
the different, the dynamic
Hurry up
in
and wait. A hurry up and wait dynamic. You were like,
oh my God,
nah, we make things
I had no
happen.
clue. I had no clue. And so one thing led to another. And so I wrote the children's book. She definitely assisted me with the foundational parts of it because sometimes we have this passion, we have this thing that we love, and we can do all of these wonderful things, but you still have to have a foundation. And so she assisted me in creating what is now CC Conglomerate, and that's my funnel for the books and the different things that I do in that lane, because yeah, there are
But you're
several.
more than just an author. You are a life coach. You're a
Yes,
motivational speaker. I've had the opportunity to share the stage with you on many occasions, and
yes,
so to all of those that are listening to Dr. CC, she comes, of course, with a wealth of knowledge and information, but with a passion for young people. And as she said, I mean, with an obstacle becomes an opportunity. And so her 12-year old niece inspired her to want to make sure that no other child felt like this was the journey that they needed to take. And so, first of all, I want to commend you on that, Dr.
Thank you.
CC.
Thank you so
And
much.
of course, we've spoken so much about the young people, and we've jumped out of many a cars and intervened, and made sure our young people were straight. And so I totally, totally understand and get where your passion is, because I had the opportunity of working beside you and for many a years. And so I just want to again thank you for the conglomerate and coming up with your book. But just want to share with you, well, what was some of the obstacles? What were some of the things that, I know about the hurry up and wait, because we've discussed
Yes.
this before,
Yes.
what were some of the other things that would have stopped you from, had it not been for our Lord and Savior, basically, because I already know your story, right? That part,
Yes. I was about to say that part.
that
That
part.
part, because this is all I tell people all the time. I was the wife,
Hmm.
the mom, then became grandma. I knew that I was the youth officer, the
That's right.
the cop, the detective. These other things did not come to life without God. That's
Right.
just, and that's clear. I say that everywhere that I go, especially since you said my voice will be heard in
That's right.
a lot of spaces and places. And so I always like people to know that that is the absolute truth for me. But um, I always say, because we always talk about faith, we talk about
That's
faith
right.
in
That's
this,
right.
and but faith without works is dead,
It's
and it
good.
takes a
That's
lot of
right.
work.
That's
It
right.
takes a lot of work, and that's just the truth. And so I know one of the big things for me is the solo patrol.
Yeah. That's right.
Doing this a lot of times by myself.
That's
I That is a huge challenge. Not having a team,
that's right.
or not being able to trust certain people with your vision.
Vision, with your
Yeah,
vision.
you really
And I'm
can't.
glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. I sit in on an organization, Women in the Black, and what we do is to encourage and to empower other women. And the president is Princess Jenkins of the Brownstone, and of course Pat Stevenson of Harlem News. And so a lot of what they do is make you understand you're not on a river in Egypt. You're not in denial, right? You are not there by yourself. And so they're always, through Women in Black, they're always encouraging and inspiring and giving you resources. Like I look at my email and there's a grant opportunity. I look at my email and there's a coaching opportunity. I look at my email and there's some funding. And I think that that's really important, especially for solopreneurs, right?
Yes,
That you need that administrative backup. You need to have the access to capital, because that is always, and I say this every time on my show, that's the number one barrier for small businesses. Every time I have a conversation, the first thing come up is access to capital. Even if
yeah,
you get that contract, you need operational costs to be able to implement that contract. And so it's really important as small businesses to understand that there are spaces out there where you can get the funding and you can get the support and you can get the encouragement and you can tag in your sister girl like I tag you in, um,
yes,
because we're not in that river in Egypt, and there is individuals out there that have been there, done that, and that are willing, like you, to share their story of those barriers. So again, I want to thank you so much for talking about it. I mean, we need assistance. We're
yes,
not in this by ourselves, and the bigger we grow, the more assistance we need.
right.
And so, for small businesses that are listening today, I encourage you to go on to the SBA.gov. I encourage you to look at SCORE. If you're in a city and state, they are city and state programs here in New York. They have small business services. They have small business services in Atlanta. The same thing for New Jersey and Connecticut. And so I'm encouraging small businesses to look for resources that are already paid for with your tax dollars, right? So after those resources, COVID has done one other thing. There is tons of resources available online through
Yes,
government funding, right? So your community-based organizations can now assist you with financial capital. They can assist you with getting your books in order. They can even train you on QuickBooks. There's like tons of information available for you. They can help you self-publish. So, all that information, that part, right? So there,
that
all the
right.
information is now available, because what we realized through COVID is that when we shut down, we can still communicate virtually.
Virtually.
And so that was really important. So talk to me a little bit about that, Dr. CC. Like, what were some of the things that you did? I know we had a platform, the Quarantine Women Empowerment Summit, that we had
That
an
was so
opportunity.
good. Yes.
We had an opportunity to participate in because of COVID. We still
Yes.
got together. We still shared. So talk to me about what are some of the other things that you were able to do with the obstacle of COVID and shutting down and not being able to do what you do best, hit the stage and empower and encourage. What were some of the things that you did?
Well, again, the playing field was definitely leveled, and more doors, virtual doors opened up.
That's
And
right.
so I was a part of, and I still am connected to this. It's a international. Basically, the platform came from South Africa, and
Hmm.
these were people that I met when I went to Tennessee for a music for the Gospel Music Association. And
Hmm.
so through COVID, they decided to start this time of prayer, and they started
Wow.
inviting people on. And so
That's
there were
right.
people from South Africa and all other parts of the country, this country, and other countries who would log on. And so I
Mhm.
spoke on that platform. I sang on that platform,
Oh,
and
nice.
what COVID did was, I call it, the playing field was level, where
That's right.
now, here we go. Now we can all connect
That's
virtually.
right.
So I guess people being still,
That's right.
people being still, and now we're on these devices, and it's like, well, let me see who I can stay connected with. What do people have to offer? Because, like you said, especially during that time, people needed even more encouragement and wanted to feel. Um, I know for me, living alone, not wanting to feel alone.
Isolated. Right. So if you're
Not that
isolated.
isolated, and it helped
Right.
definitely
Right.
helped to create. I've met so many people. It's so funny. I met so many people, and there's still individuals who are like, I gotta meet you in person,
That's
or
right.
we're
Or
still
you felt like you've already met them in person because
yes,
that's how close the connection was, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of connect the dots happened during COVID, and
Yes.
that shut down.
And
Hmm.
I echo that sentiment because we had similar experiences where you were able to participate, from the luxury of your home, from the luxury of your office, and we were able to across the world. I remember this was a sad occasion, but it was a beautiful occasion. There was a homegoing service that I participated in, and so the minister was from New York, the songstress was from Atlanta. The organist was from some other space, say Tennessee. The choir was in New Jersey. And it was, when I say beautiful service,
Wow.
it was, well, I'm like, how do you get all of these people in the same room without flying them into a location?
Right,
They
right.
did a virtual service. They did a virtual service. And then there were also a couple of other opportunities where I participated in something called I Love My Artists. And so they opened up a platform where you were raising money because, of course, artists were really starving during that
Yes.
time. And so you were able to participate in I Love My Artists. So different artists from different parts of the country
Oh,
actually came on, and then you donated money because it was streamed, right? And so all those opportunities came out of COVID. Drive
yeah.
through theaters, right? Because the theaters were closed. And so
Right.
now you had an opportunity now to go into the theaters. So it was a lot of different opportunities that came out of COVID. And I just can't echo enough just
Yeah.
how much we became more connected
Connected.
virtually
Right.
than we ever thought would be possible until, of course, everything was shut down. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back to talk to Dr. Cece a little more about the conglomerate and more about the ministries, and more importantly, about some of the best practices and big ideas moving forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Cece. We'll be right back right after this commercial break.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dancehall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news? Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news? Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
I'm Charles Meriday, and I'm in the restaurant business. In my 20 years as a chef and restaurant owner, I've been able to work and eat in some of the great kitchens around the globe. There's a whole side of the restaurant that most people will never get to see. So now, I want to take you to the back of the house, into kitchens of some of the best chefs in the world. Along the way, I'll share some of my own tips and recipes so you can cook like a pro too. So join me in the back of the house for a whole new perspective on cooking and food. Order in. Roger. Serve it, please.
Bona fide.
I'm glad that you came, please.
Next year I went back, I ended up winning and became like, got the Marvin Sims Award, which is like the best diverse actor. And they called my name, and as I walked to the stage, white kids was throwing books at me. Real talk, right off the top of the balcony, like, because this black boy won.
And then finally, one day I was just cooking in the kitchen. She was like, "Mommy, so-and-so touched me on my private parts like this," you know? And it was that moment where, like, I had that moment where I told my mom, and my mom was the one that shut me down, and I had a choice, you know, to make.
I shot back. But you can't claim self-defense when you got an illegal firearm and you 16 years old.
I remember my brother right here, he was selling, he was doing this, but he got a break. He could have took that money and flipped it. He could have went back, Wagon Wire money, 17 episodes. I could flip that.
Even on out there, I did not flip.
He didn't pop the wire, but
I went straight. My bad, I'm moving on.
I was a single friend for 6.5 years, and I was going through my situationships, Y'all know the situationships, men. Then I found, just like for myself, again, like, oh girl, you still recovering from your childhood. Like, what you about to do with a man right now?
I had an agent, some years after that, tell me that if you don't do nudity, you're not a real actress.
So did they get fired? So let's
Should have gotten fired that way.
Everybody's laughing. They're like, oh my God. They go, okay, great. Are you SAG? I was like, nah, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm black. And everybody did that. Like, we can pick up the sides right now and start going. I know this group that I'm with is about that. We're about that. Like, I'm about the work. You know what I mean? Like,
chasing Hollywood industry. Who chasing?
So I saw Chasing Hollywood. I was like, yo, we don't have to change that name and do something because niggas don't own chase.
I feel like we're just, but we're living. That's the term that Hollywood uses.
It's not about just today and me and blah, blah, blah. What we are doing is being documented. Our grandkids, our great-great-grandkids can see how we all walk, talk, sound, look in our prime. And, something about that is very beautiful. And I think that is another element that kind of attracted me to it, is that it never dies. You never die through this art form.
Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. So we are on the marketplace, and I'm your host of the Coaxum Report. My name is Terry Coaxum. You can find us on our TV network, and we are, of course, partnering with Tempo, and you can catch us throughout the Caribbean, throughout all of Southeast Asia, the United States, of course. You can catch us on the radio. WSTX Bloomberg. You can catch us on Android, Apple, Roku, and you can catch us at ourtv.network. Please download the app if you want to catch this segment again. And so I am honored. It is truly a pleasure to be joined today by Dr. Cece. Dr. Cece has been talking to us a little bit about her business and how it started with tragedy became triumph. Right. So she talked a little bit about how she started with her children's book and empowering and encouraging other young people so that they would not walk down the journey that her niece did in committing suicide at the tender age of 12 years old. And so, I truly is an honor again, Dr. Cece, to be on with you today. And when we took a break, we were talking about all of the connections that have happened as a result of the obstacle, which was COVID, right?
Right.
So COVID shut us down. We weren't able to physically meet, but that didn't stop us from meeting. So of course we were in all of these different platforms meeting. We had parties on Zoom. We had mocktails on Zoom. We had sisterly relations on Zoom. And so it truly showed us a space to play in. And it wasn't just nationally, it was internationally. So Dr. Cece, you just shared with us how you had this empowerment conference with South Africa, where you had an opportunity to share with some wonderful voices throughout the country. And so that was really a great and grand experience. And so with that barrier, definitely became an opportunity. So now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I always talk about barriers, but I want to talk, and we talked a little bit about some best practices. What are some big ideas that you would like to share that came about as a result of one big idea? You said that hurry up and wait didn't work for you. So you went ahead and wrote your book. You got a coach, And so one thing I want to say to anyone that's listening today is that, get a coach. If you need a coach, get a coach. If you need any other type of assistance. If you need to take a class, take a class. If you need some type of training, train. Invest in yourself. It's
Yes.
really, really important to invest in yourself. So Dr. CC invested in herself. She got a coach to help her through the writing process, and the book is awesome. Tell us the name of the book, Dr. CC.
It's O Marie.
Oh, Marie.
Oh Marie.
And where can we get a copy of it at?
You can get it directly from me. It's also on Amazon, but I do most of what I do it direct.
And it's on your website?
It's also on my website, cynthiacordero.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And yeah.
So we can go on cynthiacordero.com and get a copy of your book and support Dr. CC and all that she's doing. And the proceeds to the book gives her the opportunity to be able to spread the word and also empower and encourage those that are walking down this journey to make sure that they're not finding themselves feeling alone and isolated in situations of being bullied, you know. And one of the things I have to say, Dr. CC, I do commend you first of all, because as a officer, a youth officer at the time, it's extremely hard to watch your loved ones go through something and get to that point and still, you know, because I know as a parent, right, when my child is going through something and I'm not able to just clean it up or step in, I feel helpless, right?
Yeah.
And so, to all of those that are listening, I need you to understand that you have individuals like me, you have individuals like Dr. Cece, you have mentors and that are in your space, your teachers, right? If you are a 12-year-old, your parents, right? I encourage you to have conversations with individuals you trust so that we can help you get through these stages, especially in situations where you're being bullied. You don't have to be bullied. You know, we're here to help you in that space.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. It was very difficult to go through that and watch her go through it. Yeah.
So now I want us to talk now about, we had an obstacle, and with that obstacle, you were able to triumph because you were able to empower and encourage other young people and individuals in that space to help them understand that there is someone to talk to, right? And there is this book that you can pick up and you can relate to it. And I think it's really important as Black and Brown people for us to kind of identify ourselves in a book. I remember seeing a little clip on the news about Encanto when there was this young Black boy that his eyes lit up when he saw the character in Encanto that reminded him of himself. Right. And I think it's really important that we are giving our young people those role models so that they can emulate those individuals that are successful, that are doing great things, and not just successful in athletics, but successful in other things. You know, being a police officer, being a teacher, a trainer, you know, a health coach, whatever that is. I think that they can identify with that. So talk to us about some big ideas, because I know you got some. We've spoken about them. You know, we had our moment in the restaurant with our napkin.
Yes. So again, because of COVID, and sitting down and really looking at everything that I was doing at that point, because I'm also a part of Not on My Watch that has to do with domestic violence. I'm an advocate against domestic violence and human trafficking. So there are like a lot of little pieces of things that I am a part of, things that I do. I'm also a chaplain. And so as I've been connecting the dots, what I realize is that there are certain things that I had to adjust. Some things I actually shut down because it was no longer, the time was done for that particular thing. And so the big ideas are I'm finishing up a song that was written for me. That's number one, because I often get asked like, well, you have your own, like, do you have music? Do you have, you know, and so my sister-in-law wrote a song, and so it's in the works. That is something that is definitely on the in the works for me. Just finishing that up. The other thing is that I just went to the UN recently, and so there are global efforts that are being done. It's an education summit, and there is this huge network that I'm now a part of through Word of Life Ministries International, where I'm a chaplain and ambassador. So I feel like the Lord is, like they say, it's more doors, but different type of doors, because sometimes things won't look the way we thought they were going to look.
That's right. Absolutely.
We're in places where we maybe at one time like, what? Like, that's not what I do.
Right.
But I always tell people to try to see past that moment and really, really look at what it is ultimately that you want to do with that thing, because it's not just children here in America or women here in America that are going through things. We learned that with COVID, through all of this virtual stuff and all of the videos, and unfortunately, like you said, a lot of the things that we now have access to, but we as problem solvers, we as the ones that have answers, and I always believe in being kingdom minded.
That's right.
We're the ones, we're the ones. And so for me now, revamping the coaching to include, so I met this young lady when I was in Tampa. It was the funniest young girl, young woman. And she asked me if I was on a certain platform. And so her question has now led me to, to revamp.
To invest more into yourself.
Yes, because this was in Tampa, and so I said, how do I stay connected now with all of these different people? So again, the virtual world, investing more, like you said, in myself.
That's
and
right.
really, really being more broadening the way that we think. Changing the way that we think a little bit, because it may not be that I'm meeting somebody at their home or at the local coffee shop, or it may just be that we're doing something like this.
That's right. That's right.
So that's being revamped. The coaching. So
the branding. So you're rebranding as well. So you're revamping your brand as well and expanding. Yes. And I think it's really, really important that the small businesses that are listening today can understand that in order for you to continue to grow, you're going to have to revamp. You're going to have to market. You're going to have to brand. You're going to have to invest in yourself. And I'm not asking you to go out and spend a lot of money, because again, we spoke about this at the top of the hour. There are resources available in your municipality, in your state, in your commonwealth that will invest in small business, because small business are the economic engine that drive our economy. And so our local governments and our federal governments are looking to fund these particular opportunities. So I'm glad to hear that you are rebranding and expanding your brand.
Yes.
And I think that that's really important. So I hope that will include some YouTube videos and some talks, some TED Talks, and I'm up because I've heard you speak, and you're phenomenal. And so I'm looking forward to you sharing that message of encouragement throughout this country, throughout this nation, because our world is hurting. I mean, the war in Ukraine, the devastating, things that are going on in different parts of our country, the natural disasters, the wildfires. There's just a lot going on. The economy, like people are really hurting, and to to turn on your computer or to look at your phone and see a TikTok or Dr. Cece, encouraging and inspiring is truly what I'm looking forward to having, because I want to be able to share that with those individuals, and to say to anyone that's listening today, you too can be that voice, and that international and national voice for everybody else.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So now tell me a little bit about this branding, because I already, I done did a TED Talk. Me, I always take out the napkins, start writing it down. Here we go with our next book and our workbook to follow the book, right? And then we got a TED Talk to follow that, and now we're traveling internationally. We're on Zoom with Africa, and now we're in the continent and speaking in the continent, and spreading that as well, right?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about what the coach is doing just a little bit, because we don't want to give it all away. We want people to go into your website, and then I want you to tell me about your website. Like, if I go into your website right now, what is it that I am able to do? Am I able to purchase some merch? Am I able to get an inspirational word? Can I subscribe? Like, what am I able to do when I go to your website? Can I book you?
So my website. So again, and I hate to keep bringing up COVID, but the young man that was helping me actually passed away. He was,
Oh, wow.
he was one of the key people that was assisting me in working on the revamping the website, or adding to the website rather. So there are still things that you can do on there. I didn't want to shut it down, and then so there is someone else in line that it's funny how you got to be at the right place at the right time with the right people.
I believe in that connecting.
And God has a way of putting people in our paths who say, you know what, I'm willing to do that for you. And so there is someone who and I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna Chinnery Animations. He is absolutely amazing, and this is a man who literally is helping me. He hasn't charged me a dime because he really believes in the mission, and so so he is working with me now to again, this is a part of the rebranding. Add those things because what happened to me, because that whole solopreneur. I'm doing this over here. I'm doing that over there. Let me add that I still work at the federal courthouse. So, time management, folks. And so I that's what I'm working on, making it seamless, streamlining where we can get those things directly from the website. Because I did shut a certain shopping platform that I was using because too many places. And so I'm streamlining. The other thing that I've asked people to do is, find me on social media.
That's right.
Yeah, find me on social media.
Social media tag.
Cynthia, Dr. Cynthia, Dr. Cynthia Cordero on Instagram, and Cynthia Cordero, just like that, my name, the way you see it, on Facebook. And I do have TikTok. You mentioned TikTok.
That's right.
Because I do answer messages. I do, like I tell people, I'm a real, I'm very real. I'm very I know. Because my life, listen, I'm somebody who I was challenged with depression as a kid. I understand domestic violence. I understand growing up in a world surrounded by drugs and violence. I grew up in some rough neighborhoods, and I moved a lot as a kid throughout Brooklyn. And I was not always in church. And so there are so many things that I understand darkness. So that's why I do my best to stay real and to stay relevant. And I'm a servant. I'm a servant. That's my heart. That's my heart for people. And so, yes, you can find those things. This is Emerge. This is a part of what I do. This I just
you see the butterfly. So that's
the butterfly.
That is my signature. And then, that's right.
Yeah, and so so there's so many different things. Listen, folks, we can do all of these things.
This is a great conversation, and I'm glad we're having it. It's a timely conversation, right? Because I need, my small businesses that are listening, or my startups that are listening, to understand that you can start where you are, right?
Right.
And so even, that Dr. CC is already is an author and already, has her business in place and a website in place. She's still doing some other things, right? She's still revamping. She's still rebranding. She's still marketing. She's still looking at, at other social media platforms. And I need you to understand that all of these things are possible, for your business as well. And that's why I come on each week encouraging and empowering our small business and talking about some of the barriers. There are barriers. These barriers, having the person that's responsible for your website pass away is a huge barrier. But you didn't let that deter you or shut down your program. You simply pivoted, right?
Yes.
Into something else. And that's what I need my small businesses to understand. There is a pivot. There's a time to rock out and there's a time to pivot, right? So that's really, really, really important. The other part of it is don't let your finances stop you from getting what you need. There's a
That's
lot
right.
of in-kind services that are available for you. And again, I'll tell you again, go back to your municipal services. There are government services that are available to help small businesses because small businesses are the engine that's driving our economy. There is a platform here on the marketplace.
Right.
Onto the marketplace, you can come into the marketplace and you can sell your widget or your service or whatever that is. I need you to come on to that. We even have some banking tools available on this platform. So I encourage you to go to our TV network and see what's available. Download the app, ourtv.network. Download the app, listen to us on WSTX, and get these nuggets that we're bringing to you every single week because we want you to prosper. We want you to be successful. We want you to move forward, and we want you to continue to be the engine that drives our economy. And so it's extremely important to have these real conversations from real small business owners that are going through real challenges that are learning to pivot on the slide. Like, you didn't make this up, right? You were literally pivoting based on whatever obstacle that is being thrown your way. And so that's why I'm really happy to be having this conversation with you because it's a straight up no chaser conversation. You know, sometimes individuals are like, "Oh, don't talk about that." No, I need you to talk about it.
Talk about
Because
it. Yeah.
how else do we learn? You know,
That's
we
right.
learn by sharing.
That's right.
Especially in our culture, right? And so
Yes.
it's really important that we share these things. And so again, I thank you for being open, for being honest, for sharing, you know, your barriers, for sharing some of the best practices, and of course, the big ideas. And I am looking forward to this rebranding, revamping, marketing piece because I know that you have so much more to give. And again, we're going to have dinner again and have another one of those napkin moments so we can write it down and make it plain.
That's
Because
right.
you know, when you get the sisters together and that vibe start flowing, you know, we really feed off of each other and we quote unquote emerge.
Amen.
So I thank you so much for sharing that. So talk to me, you know, I know it's silly how time flies. We're about to close in a few minutes, but before we close out, if there's one thing you want to leave with our studio audience, what would that be?
I have to say, I'm grateful for, listen, everybody needs a covering. And I'm grateful for my my church, Overflow Christian Center. I'm grateful that God saw fit to give me another chance at what it is that he called me to do. Because I didn't see it before, because I couldn't see past me. So see past, you know, get to the, you know, when you get to the end of yourself, it's amazing what you'll find.
That's right.
So so again, I thank my pastor, my church family. They have been an amazing covering. And my family, Terry, you know, you are always coming to me.
Always. That's my sister.
You need that community.
That's
and
right.
you know, and I say it unapologetically. You need God in your life.
Yes.
And amazing things can happen through you.
Absolutely. And so what I hear you saying is get out of your own self-way.
Get out of your way. Yes.
Stand under your covering because we are all made for a purpose in a time as this.
That's right.
And so, you know, be still and be led. You know, and one of the things that I love about our relationship, Dr. Cece, is that, you know, I don't have to see you for years. And I pick up that phone and we can have a conversation like we speak every day. Because you are my sister from another mister. And so, you know, I am here to encourage your business. I hope that you have a super phenomenal day on purpose. I'm looking forward to the rebranding, looking forward to building wealth with you. And I hope you'll come join us again on the Coaxum Report. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye.